How's that look?
You look great, man. I appreciate you
All
taking a few
right.
minutes to do this. We are excited for the Soaring Eagles show coming up here in a few days, and I want to talk about that and talk about truth and all that stuff. But first things first, I want to ask you. A lot of bands celebrate anniversaries, celebrate milestones. Just a couple of days ago, you guys celebrated the 5 year anniversary of the Scars Foundation. And in terms of what the band has accomplished in the last, nearly 30 years, whether it's Grammy nominations or 20 million plus albums sold or 13 number one singles or whatever, where does what you've done with the Scars Foundation in the last 5 years, where does that rank in terms of accomplishments?
It's the most rewarding work I've ever done. It's the most gratifying work I've ever done. It's one thing to have survived everything that I've survived in my life to get to where I am and have that kind of perseverance and determination to be able to take on life's challenges and obstacles as we all do, the ups and the downs. And some of the downs can be very painful and rough, and you never think you're going to get to the other side, and you're struggling and you're broke. You go through, physical health conditions at times or mental health conditions, but you push through it, you get to the other side. And then you sometimes are able to hit the streak of rewards to be able to have a career, to be able to have these accomplishments and be proud of this legacy that we're building. But to be able to give all that experience back to something like the Scars Foundation and watch people change their lives, watch people go from complete addicts or complete, you know, high levels of PTSD or being bullied victims, severe depression victims, suicide preventions, things like that. That's when you're really feeling like you're accomplishing something and changing serious um, karma in your life. Because that kind of work, man, is very gratifying, and you do it for free because you can see the impact you're making on people. And like they say, even if you can save one life, man, that's one more person that goes on to have a great life for themselves and gets out of that dark place they're in.
Now that you've got 5 years under your belt, so to speak, what do you hope to do with the next 5 years and moving forward?
Well, I will say I got to be careful about how much I say right now because I'm under a very strict NDA on a project that we're working on for the Scars Foundation that it looks like we're going to phase 3. And if this thing comes out public, which I believe it will in the next, maybe year or two, I'm hoping, um, it's a very sensitive project that we're doing that has to do with music and the healing through music and vibrations and frequencies and things like that. If we do what we think we're going to do with this, it's going to change not only the music industry, I think, but it'll certainly change how people hear and feel music in the way that we believe it can truly heal people physically rather than just a mental state of mind.
I tell you what, man, it's exciting to see what the Scars Foundation has done and what you've accomplished in those 5 years. And in hearing what you have planned, even though you can't talk too much about it, is exciting. And it's awesome to see you guys do something good. There are a lot of bands that sort of have the opportunity to do those sorts of things. So to see it come to fruition and to see you guys help so many people is incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, it's very gratifying, and it's time that I feel is very well spent, and it doesn't feel like work. It's that same feeling that we all get when you see your sister or your brother or your dad or your mom or your wife a bit down, or even your kid, and you have like, especially with your kids, right? You have like all this experience as an adult, and you're able to help them and help them understand, like, listen, man, this is what we all go through when we're younger. Trust me, it'll get better. Push through it. You give that kind of advice, you help them heal, you help them go past it, get a little stronger, figure out a way to reach down inside themselves and find that inner strength. That's the same kind of work that we do at the Scars Foundation with people that we don't know. But it's still that same kind of rewarding work that that makes your heart. It's chicken, chicken soup for the soul.
Yeah, if you want to learn more about what the Scars Foundation is doing, scarsfoundation.org, we have to talk about the band. Of course, we could talk Scars Foundation here for the next 20, 30 minutes, but obviously, this year, a big year for Godsmack. You guys are approaching the 30-year anniversary of a band, which is pretty incredible. In that 30 years, a lot of bands have come and gone. Bands that you've shared the stage with have stopped touring, have stopped playing. What do you attribute the longevity of Godsmack to? What keeps fans coming to these shows? I mean, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think Godsmack may be the first band to ever play the outdoor amphitheater at the Soaring Eagle and the entertainment hall at the Soaring Eagle within the same year, and both shows sold out. What is it about this band that just keeps people coming back, man?
I don't know. I would like to think it's honesty and transparency and vulnerability, because and energy, right? Because the band has always been known to be a power kind of hard rock band. So the energy in itself, I think, is what initially attracted people, especially if they're into extreme sporting or working out or things that like they need energy for running. Our music has always lent itself to that kind of lifestyle. But then, over the years, as I've grown as a songwriter, as my songwriting has matured more and become a little bit broader, appealing to a broader audience, to more women, to more of the younger generation that's growing up and learning about the band through their parents. I really think that I've gotten better at allowing myself to be vulnerable, allowing myself to tell stories within my songs that show that kind of transparency. And I think that's important for people because, as you can just write whatever story you want and people can call bullshit on it real quick. But when you're writing about things that affect you on an emotional level very deeply, whether they're good or bad, I think people can connect that and translate it into their own life stories.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned songwriting and how you've sort of transformed as a songwriter and how you make these connections with your fans. I mean, on the new album, Lighting Up the Sky, the song Truth, which is the single right now, that is a song that is very, very, very personal. And I know that you had talked about sort of struggling to find inspiration for this new album. And then this thing happens in your life that leads to you writing the song. Is that sort of a catharsis for you? Is it a cathartic process for you to put your thoughts into a song like that and sort of get that stuff off your chest?
I've always used music to heal ever since I was 26, 27 years old, I believe. And I was starting this band. I knew that the right thing to do was to try to take a lot of these scars that I carry, trauma, whether they're physical or emotional scars, and invent them as an outlet through my music, because music really is a universal language that we all connect to in our own special way. You can be in the middle of Russia sitting next to a guy that you don't even know how to communicate with, and you can enjoy this amazing concert in the same way and get your own experience from it. So music is really this universal language, but it's a healer, and we're learning more and more about that, as I said earlier, through the Scars Foundation, about, how music can truly heal, even the physical. So of course I have to be able to apply that when I need help myself and going through these kind of situations when you get heartbroken or you feel betrayed or life lets you down in whatever ways it is. I've always had music to lean on, and I always will. And I always remember that it's medicine for me. And if it can help somebody else out to know that I went through something that they're going through, and they can connect to it in that way and get that same release because they're not an artist or they don't know how to create music or write lyrics or poems or whatever, then that's just a bonus for me, because I know that I'm also helping, people beyond myself. And that's a gift in itself.
When you have these songs that are super emotional, super personal, and you're playing them in a setting like you are on the Vibez Tour, do you, even though you're playing it night in and night out, do you still sort of get overcome by some of those emotions as you're playing those songs?
Sometimes, but you got to remember, by the time the song hits the stage to be able to perform it live, we've already wrote it, rehearsed it 150 times, recorded it several times, mixed it, mastered it. I've probably heard and performed the song 1,000 times before I've hit the stage. So I'm a bit desensitized at that point. And whatever strongest emotions were going to come out are going to probably come out while I'm writing it. When I'm first saying those words on paper and I'm first writing it down, that's when the tears can flow. That's when the heart gets heavy if it's something that's in that vein. And that's the same thing I need people to remember when they're venting. You don't have to be a musician. You don't have to be a singer. You don't have to be a guitar player. You can sit there certainly and write down on it with a pen and paper, just like anyone else can, And if you got to say fuck you, say fuck you. If you got to say I hate fucking you that day or I hate myself that day, just say it out loud. Because when you get it out, sometimes that's when the healing begins and you start to feel that release. And once that kind of lifts, that heaviness lifts from your chest and your shoulders, you feel a little bit better. So they're like little mini meltdowns, and they're okay to have. You just have to be able to discipline yourself enough to control them, not spiral out. But you're certainly allowed to be able to vent your emotions. And sometimes if you can't speak them verbally, you just get them out of your body any way you can. And sometimes screaming on a piece of paper works just as good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a perfect opportunity for you to get some of that release coming up on Saturday when the Vibez Tour comes to the Soaring Eagle. I mean, concerts for a lot of people, that's their chance to let loose, to let those emotions flow, to sort of get that stuff out of them. And there's a perfect chance to do that at a Godsmack show coming up on Saturday.
Absolutely. Yep. It's a very cool show. We haven't done something like this since 2004, and we're doing it we took it up another level. 2004 was strictly acoustic. This is some acoustic, fully electric, some storytelling, going down the rabbit hole of some nostalgic covers that we grew up listening to, very cool video information that we're running. It's a very full rounded evening, but very up close and personal and intimate in that sense, but fully electric.
Well, I was going to ask, since you played the Soaring Eagle last summer to kick off the Outdoor Summer Concert Series, that's the big amphitheater show with the pyro and all that stuff. Do you feel a difference in emotions from the audience when you do these sort of stripped down, more intimate shows like the Vibez Tour? We're going to be playing in the entertainment hall. You're going to be able to maybe see the people a little bit better. Do you feel the audience emotions a little bit stronger, a little bit better at shows like this?
Of course. Yeah, they're right there in front of my face. It's almost like we're all just sitting in a big giant living room, having a chat, playing some music, talking to them about the songs, what they meant to me when I wrote them, things like that. It's a very personal experience. So of course their presence is felt much closer than on the bigger stages.
Do you find it easier to put together a show like this? I mean, you guys have a catalog of songs, whether you're talking number ones or whatever. Is it easier or more difficult putting together a show like this, a set list like this for the Vibez Tour, as opposed to, a regular Godsmack run where you're playing the amphitheaters, you're playing the arenas? Do you have more, I don't know if leeway is the right word, but do you find yourself able to take some more chances on this sort of stuff?
It's definitely more relaxed, but it can be it's a little more, not I don't want to say difficult, but a little bit more the energy changes. It's more intense in a different way because it's more raw and cracked open, where the bigger shows are more of like a different kind of energy. It's a power energy. It's about adrenaline, it's about sending out bigger waves of energy in that sense, to be able to motivate people and give them that rush and those endorphins. But with this is more, this is more of like a journey through music. This is more of an experience. This is more of like, I would compare it more to the days of like when Pink Floyd would put on shows and things like that, and they take you through a musical journey. It's a roller coaster of emotions. It goes from intense to heavy to uplifting. There's just a lot that happens within the show. So I really like this show. The feedback has been incredible on the show. People have told us it's their favorite kind of Godsmack show they've seen so far, because I think they're getting a little bit of everything, a lot broader of a look into the band.
You mentioned that the last time you did something like this was back in 04, so it's been 20 years. Is this something you guys have been sort of stewing on? Is it something where you come to the guys and you say, hey, what do you think about doing this? Is everybody on board right away when you suggest or this gets brought up to do something like this? Does Robbie take some convincing, or is everybody like, yeah, let's do it?
Oh, no, they want this more than ever because they're all old. Their knees are creaking. The locker room is starting to smell like an NFL locker room with all the Ace Banded drops and Ben Gay creams, and we're not young chickens anymore, but we're doing a pretty good job of chasing our youth and staying in good shape. But the body does get tired, especially after doing the big shows. It's a very physical show, as you know. And this is kind of like a breath of fresh air. We get to focus on the musicianship. And that's the difference between the big show and this show. The big show is just like power packed, it's just a giant punch in the face, and it's relentless. This is more about the musicianship and playing the instruments and really carving out, an experience for the people. So they love it. They're like, if we could do this all the time, we'd probably never retire.
Yeah, it's exciting to have it back at the Soaring Eagle, have you guys back at the Soaring Eagle coming up on Saturday. Now, normally the way this sort of thing works is you guys put out an album, which you did. You guys tour that album in support of, the album being out, and then you take some time off and you record a new album. At this point, because you've said this could potentially be the last studio album, is it weird knowing that when you wrap up the Vibez Tour and you do that handful of shows this summer, is it weird that you don't necessarily have like a next step?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of the unknown, but it's kind of exciting too to not have a game plan right away. I mean, for sure, we have a small run we're doing in July of some festival dates, and then we have a September, October run that we're going to do. And then, we're kind of close to the holidays at that point, so it'll probably take a little time. But then I really don't know what's going to happen. I don't know which way this is going to go. I don't know where we're going to tour next and what the game plan is. I'm sure we'll start figuring it out in the next couple of months, because we need time to promote it, as you know, whatever we're going to do next year. I know we have to do some international touring. We did do all states pretty much in Canada this year. So we have Mexico, we have Australia, we have Japan, we have Europe. We have places to get to, and we're going to have to spend some time next year doing that as well.
Yeah, and if the Vibez Tour and if the Scars Foundation and Lighting Up the Sky wasn't enough, the documentary about your life, I Stand Alone, came out late last year. You're plugging that, is available on Amazon. You can watch it on Prime, stream it on Apple Plus. Is it true that this whole thing was like 6 years in the making?
Yeah, it took 6 years to get this film to finish because, you have to remember, this is the backstory to my life. This is from zero to until Godsmack got a record deal. So it never really goes into the years of Godsmack. That story is still yet to come, but we're still kind of waiting to see where it ends. We're still living in the Godsmack story, right? But this was the first 30 years of my life. And I wanted to share this with people to help inspire them, to show them that we're not just born rock stars or actors and actresses. Like, we had a past and we had struggles of our own. And I was raised in a very intense city that Time magazine at one point even called the most violent city in America. And so I had a lot of challenges growing up between gangs and drugs and crime and bad home life, and a lot that kind of sent me in the wrong direction, and I got in a lot of trouble. And it's amazing that I didn't end up dead or in jail. And this documentary is based on the years prior to Godsmack and what it took for me to get to the other side, and how music really was this gift that was in my life that threaded my life and showed me a path to get out of the trouble I was getting into and give me a light at the end of the tunnel.
How do you take the most important moments in 30 years of life and whittle it down to 90 minutes?
That's tough because this is a snapshot. It started as a book in 2007. I wrote a book called The Paths We Choose, and it's the same concept. It's from the time I was born until I got a record deal, and then it kind of ends there. And that was tough to do because to write out 30 years of your life, which is when I got a record deal at 30 years old, in a couple hundred pages, is just a snapshot of what my life was really like. And then the documentary is really just a snapshot of the book. So to be able to get 30 years of your life into a 90-minute film is challenging. And it's why it took so much time. But we had to also choose the stories carefully and figure out what the story was. What is the theme here? What did I gain? What did I lose? What did I get back? And that's just, it's hard to do, but I think they did a great job. You know, we didn't have a lot of information back then, video wise, because we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have video cameras. You know, we did have some at times. My aunt and uncle, who used to come visit from Connecticut, he had some money, so he always had a big camcorder with him, and he would film us when we were little. So there's some real footage in there when I was very young, playing drums, and at the age of 7 and things like that, 5 years old. But you know, as we get into the teen years and doing all the dark stuff, a lot of that footage doesn't exist, and thank God for that, because it would have been pretty incriminating for me. So you know, so it also took a little time to get some reenactment footage really shot well, because as you know, that stuff can look really cheesy if you don't do it right. And I was very adamant about making sure this was as realistic as I remembered it. So I think they did a great job with the film. I think it came out excellent, and it was very surreal to watch, you know, my own life story on the big screen.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how wild is it once it's all put together, everything's done, everything's set and ready to go? How wild is it to see it just blown up on the big screen?
We premiered it last night in Madison, Wisconsin, and we did one in Vegas, one in LA, and we still have another one to do in our hometown in Massachusetts. And yeah, it takes on a whole new life when you watch it with a live audience. But the responses and reviews have been excellent, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it because I really do think it's another step in helping people stay inspired and work harder, because it really is a story of perseverance.
Yeah, the movie is available to stream right now on Amazon Prime and Apple Plus. You can find it, the latest album, I should say, Lighting Up the Sky, is out. And Sully, you'll be back in Mount Pleasant coming up on Saturday for the Vibez Tour at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant. Like I said, opened up the outdoor summer concert season last year at the Soaring Eagle, and now 11 months later, you're playing indoors in the Vibez Tour. It's pretty awesome to have you back that soon.
Thank you. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's always a fun place to play.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you coming up on Saturday. Real quick, I know you're a big NFL fan. NFL Draft is in Detroit starting Thursday. Is it weird as a Patriots fan knowing that the Patriots are struggling a little bit and the Detroit Lions aren't struggling so much anymore?
The Patriots have been completely dismantled. Everyone is gone. There's no more Brady. There's no more Gronk. There's no more Welker. There's no more anybody. There's no more Belichick. How's that?
That's wild.
Yeah, we are in a completely new chapter in the New England Patriots. I heard even the Crafts are about to sell. Ooh. So this is a complete 180. But we had 20 amazing years to watch these guys take championships and be the best of the best. And so I'm glad I was old enough to experience it in our era, because I think that's a quarterback coach combo they'll be talking about for 100 years.
Yeah, I think you're right, and we just hope here in Detroit, in Michigan, that the Lions could do something even close to that. That would be, I mean, just winning as many games as they did last year was good for us. So
yeah, man, good luck with it. You know, sports are fun, and I wish everybody the best of luck. I love the competition, so
for sure, man. Well,
watch out for our Celtics and our Bruins though this year.
I know. See, we can't. You know, I was gonna go like, and I can't. All you have now is the Patriots. The Patriots.
We flip around. You know, right now the Patriots and the Red Sox are on the back burner. The Celtics and the Bruins are the threat.
Yeah, for a long time there, we didn't have anybody. We had nothing going for us. All we have is the Lions now. So, I mean, whatever. Looking forward to seeing you Saturday, man. It's going to be a fun show. I know the show is sold out, but we'll pack the entertainment hall coming up on Saturday.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me.